what? Why is this number everywhere? 37 is everywhere? I've never heard of 37 everywhere, but okay. You know what? Let's learn about that. I like Veritasium. Let's learn about that. By Veritasium, why is the number everywhere?
Let me show you something unbelievable. Name a random number between 1 and 100.
60.
Oh, that's what you asked me? Okay. I should have said 69. I failed. I said 99. I failed.
1.
Okay, that's pretty random.
Just name a random number from 1 to 100. Random.
43.
43. Thank you so much.
56.
7.
I want the most random number between 1 and 100, like totally random.
11.
37.
79.
79. Thank you so much.
91. 7.
3.
37.
37? Why 37?
7 comes back a lot, okay?
Oh, it's just the first number that came from one.
Like, if you generally ask me, like, first number to come to my mind, I don't know. 21, yeah, there wouldn't be, like, something random coming to my mind. I would think either, you know, if someone says, like, between 1 and 100, you tend to want to say, like, the bigger number, right? But then, if they ask you, then if you think of a meme, you think of 69 or something. Or, like, 42, the answer of life. Or, like, a cursed number, like 13. But I wouldn't have, like, a random number coming up, I don't know.
27.
37. 72.
4. 13.
7. 37.
Not a 7, no?
59.
59.
13.
7. 37.
37.
73.
37. 35. 37.
37. No way.
43. 2. 37.
I knew you were gonna do it. You just 37 and walked away.
Between
Okay.
1 and 100.
No thanks.
Okay.
No thanks.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much.
83. 37.
37.
87.
55. 37.
37. Oh, can I shake your hand?
The
Why?
thought you're putting into this.
37.
No, you are kidding me. Are you real?
What?
Did we?
I don't get it. Okay, I'm sure it's gonna explain, but why is everybody so into 37? I don't think I would ever answer 37. Yeah.
ask you this already?
Random number between 1 to 100.
37.
37. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Name a random number between 1 and 100.
37.
Are you kidding
Ow.
me? Why?
It's a good number, I guess. Any number.
Where did that come from?
Imagination, I suppose.
Okay.
So what's going
Explain,
on?
yeah.
Well, people are actually really bad at selecting things randomly.
Right.
In fact, when asked to pick a color and a number, people reliably select blue and 7 the most across dozens of
I mean, I would say red, since red is my favorite. Okay. 7. I don't know. I can't think of the reason. I have no idea.
different cultures. Psychologists have a name for this pattern, the blue 7 phenomenon. And when picking a random number between 1 and 100, it has long been suggested that the equivalent of the blue 7 phenomenon is the number 37. My producer Emily and I spoke to hundreds of people to test this theory. The most common answer was 7, but maybe that's because people just expected that we'd ask them for numbers between 1 and 10. The most common 2-digit number really was 37, much to our surprise.
Okay.
So we decided to embark on the biggest investigation ever on the number 37.
Sure.
And
I'm sure
took
it
us
is.
to some unexpected places.
I think 37 is a fascinating number. It's just really interesting because it turns up so much. How many objects are there here in the room with us that have a 37 on them? But I'm sure there's more than 1,000 here. But
None. I don't see 37 anywhere. Like, I've got shoes, a shoebox. It says 44, 45. I've got boxes from Cora that says like 13. I got no 37. Maybe I'm out of the matrix. I don't know.
built the 37 website in 1994. I started getting email from strangers. It's everywhere. I'm trying to collect them all. We're tireless. The tireless cabal of 37 people. Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently, people choose 37 so reliably that there's even a widespread professional magic trick that relies entirely on getting an audience member to just pick 37 out of thin air.
Okay.
It's called the 37 force.
I'm going to ask you to think of a number in a moment, okay? It's a 2-digit number. It's less than 50. Both numbers are odd but different. You could have 19, 17, or 15, but not 11, because you see both numbers are the same, 1 and 1, next to one another. Are you ready? 1, 2, and 3. What number did you think of? 37. Fascinating.
Fascinating.
In the famous Stanford MIT jargon file,
Indeed.
The Origin of Hacker Slang, 37 is given as the random number of choice for computer programmers. When groups of people are polled to pick a random number between 1 and 100, the most commonly chosen number is 37. The thing is,
explain.
no formal polls on this actually exist. The best we found was a Reddit poll of 1,380 people from 4 years ago. And the most popular number was 69.
Nah.
But after that,
Yeah, of course.
the winning number was 37. But we can do better than a sample size of just 1,000 people.
But I
So
guess, yeah,
we
again, 69, you have to think about it, right? Like, it's for the joke. Huh? So you don't say it at random, you think about it. Yeah.
conducted the largest random number survey ever. In a community post 3 weeks ago, we asked people to pick a random number between 1 and 100. We received 200,000 responses.
Damn.
Here are the results as they came in.
69.
It's fascinating to watch how consistent these supposedly random
Consistent, the internet is with 69.
numbers are, from 10,000 to 100,000, all the way up to 200,000 respondents. The distribution barely changes,
Right, that's
suggesting
weird.
that people from all around the world think about random numbers in a particular way, and it is decidedly not random. Ignoring the extremes of the scale because people were primed by the numbers 1 and 100 in the question itself, and ignoring 42 and 69 because they're not random, there are a few numbers that stand out, which
Not
we
random.
seem to regard as more random than the rest. 7, 73, 77, and 37.
73 then. Okay.
Then we asked people to pick the number they thought the fewest others would pick. The goal was to get rid of favorite or lucky numbers and give truly random selections. And here, the results were even clearer.
1
Again,
and 100.
ignoring the very extremes and 50 in the middle, the most selected numbers were far and away 73 and 37, which were nearly tied. The actual least picked number in the first question was 90, followed by 30, 40, 70, 80, and 60. Multiples of 10 apparently don't seem that random.
It doesn't.
The most picked overall numbers, ignoring the outliers, were 73 and 37. Ironically, all this evidence points to 37 and its inversion, 73, as not being random at all. So why does everyone pick them? Well, one argument is that this is just how people perceive randomness. 37. Does that feel random to you?
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, 50 wouldn't be random.
No,
No.
it would be too contrived.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too central.
I think people think that even numbers are less random than odd numbers.
5 feels not random. 9 and 1 feel too extreme, so people tend towards 3 and 7.
This is backed up by the fact that every one of the top numbers in our survey consisted of 3s and 7s. In fact, 3 and 7 were the most selected digits on both questions. But there's also a mathematical case for humanity's number of choice.
But again, like, I feel like there's still one thing that like it's kind of like when you asked me when I read your question in chat, like, you know, even if you tell me to pick a random number, I still think about it for a second, right? Like, and that's why I said 99. I was thinking, yeah, like, let me pick the almost highest number, right? So I feel like most people probably do that, but then why 37, which doesn't really mean anything specifically? Because again, yeah, it's not truly random. People do think about it in a sense. I don't know.
Because it's not just odd numbers, but specifically primes, which feel like the most random numbers. Notice how we ignore odds ending in 5s, or how something like 39 still feels a little less random than 37. Primes feel random for at least 2 reasons. First, they don't appear as much in our lives. I mean, pixel counts, fruit boxes, square footage. We live in a composite world with multiple dimensions that multiply together. So we just don't see primes much past the single digits. Second, we don't have a formula for primes. If you have a prime number and you want to find the next one, you have no choice but to check every number until you find a prime. The closest thing we have to a formula is the prime number theorem, which gives the approximation that the nth prime number occurs around n times natural log of n. For example, the 1000th prime number should be around 6,908, and it's close, but certainly not exact. So primes essentially occur at random. But of all the primes, 37 has reason to stand out.
On your shelf?
If we were to find the prime factors of every number, we would see that 2 is the smallest prime factor for exactly half of them, all of the even numbers. And 3 is the smallest prime factor for a sixth of all numbers, anything that's divisible.
I've been lost. Yeah, I said before, but like in school, my worst thing was always math. Like all throughout, you know, high school, I basically just literally gave up. I would like just give in at some point. I couldn't follow anything anymore. I just gave in like a blank page during test. I would get 0 out of 20 every single time, not even making it up, right? I can't even do like multiplication in my head. So none of this I can follow. I'm so lost. I don't really know what prime numbers are. I don't know anything about the equation. And the more numbers calculation like this you add, the more I get lost. Yeah. It's a bit beyond me. It's a bit beyond me is what I'm saying, yeah. 2007 prime, 2019 prime, and Lego prime. Okay, good one. Good one. Transformers, I get it.
By 3, but not by 2, and so on. As we pick larger and larger primes, they form the smallest prime factor
so
for
prime
fewer
is just
and fewer
uneven
integers.
number, right?
But what if we track
number of prime is if you can only divide it by 1 in itself? Okay.
The second smallest prime factor of each number? Well, first we have 3, which is the second prime factor of a number, only when the number is divisible by both 2 and 3, or divisible by 6. So 1/6 of all numbers have a second prime factor of 3. And as we keep going, which number will end up at the balancing point? This is the median second prime factor of all numbers from 1 all the way up to a Google and off to infinity. Would you believe that that number is 37?
Yes, I would.
Let's take a look at 5. 5 is the second prime factor only when a number is divisible by 5 and 3, but not 2. Or 5 and 2, but not 3. In the first case, a number divisible by 5 and 3 means it's divisible by 15, so that's 1/15 of all numbers. But it also can't be divisible by 2,
it's
so
too much for me.
half of 1/15 is a 30th
I'm a bit too dumb about this.
In the second case, a number divisible by 5 and 2 means it's divisible by 10. But it cannot be divisible by 3, so we're left with 1/10 times 2/3 equals 1/15 of all numbers. Adding up these two cases, we get that 1/10 of all numbers have 5 as their second prime factor. And we can repeat this for the next prime, 7. Just take each of these cases and add them up to get that 1/15 of all integers have a second prime factor of 7, and so on. Keeping a running total, we quickly approach a balancing point for the second prime factor across all integers. And then we reach it. So the median second prime factor of all numbers is 37.
Okay,
Half
I get that concept. I don't get the calculation, but I get that concept.
Or less.
9 is not a prime since you also come from 3.
There are other remarkable qualities about 37 as a prime.
Sure.
It's an irregular prime, a Cuban prime, a lucky prime, a sexy prime, a permutable prime, a Padovan prime, and at this point mathematicians might just be making up types of primes.
37's identity as a prime number is so strong that the same day I first learned the number 37, I learned it was prime. This was one of my first books as a toddler. It teaches you every number from 1 to 100 with a short story or fun fact for each. So for 26, that's how many letters in the alphabet, or for 30, they give the days of September, or for 52, that's how many cards are in a deck. Except 37.
You can't divide 37 by any number, but 1 and 37.
Someday, you'll
so
understand.
It's prime.
I did not like that. I understood every other number, so I also wanted to understand 37. So that number has nagged me ever since, and now this video is being made some 20 years later.
Very nice.
Not convinced yet?
If you take a number that is a multiple of 37 already, like 1369, that's 37 squared, and then you reverse it, and then you stick a 0 in between every digit, then that number is a multiple of 37. And I literally spent the next month on the bus trying to prove that fact, which I finally did. Just rattle off a 6-digit number.
Okay, I got that.
Tell me
I
any
got
6-digit
something.
number.
I got something.
4, 1, 3, 6, 2, 5.
And it's not divisible by 37. So how did I figure that out? There's a trick for that.
Is this your like party trick that you can bring out?
Yeah.
Surprisingly, it doesn't impress as many people as you would think. I think it should impress everybody.
I mean, it sounds impressive. So you
But
can
there's also
calculate
a
that in your
practical
damage.
reason 37 is an
I'm
important
impressed.
number for humanity. Say you're faced with a choice that is both immediate and final.
I've never had like the brain like wiring for this. Like that's why, you know, I can barely do any calculates in my head. When there's more than like 3 numbers, you know, it starts to get foggy in my head about it. I just can't do it. Yeah, I was literally like the cringe kid who was like in school was like, you know, I can just use my phone. I can just use a calculator. You know, I do regret like, you know, not trying harder to know at least basic maths, but it is what it is. I don't know. I've kind of accepted it as like, yeah, you know, in some way, like it's kind of like most of school. I couldn't just learn because I don't know, like the way you were forced to learn wasn't really working. Same with history, right? Like I love history these days, but back then it was just boring and I didn't care, right? So maybe one day I'll get into maths, maybe. Only built for statistics. Any abstract calculus is less on me, yeah. Yeah. Like really, like, you know, whenever I'm like, I go buy something at the grocery store and, you know, I have to, like the cashier is calculating like the change or something, and I'm trying to also think about it. Most of the time I just give up. I just trust them because like on the spot, I just can't do it. And putting out my phone is kind of like cringe.
The apartment you've just toured, or whether to accept a job offer you received. Or it can be as small as whether to stop at the next gas station on a road trip. These are all problems where you can't assess all the options at once, and then decide. With each option you encounter, you need to decide whether to accept it or reject it forever, and see what comes next. In these scenarios, it feels impossible to make the best choice. If you select too early, you'll probably never even see the best option. But if you select too late, well then you've probably rejected the best option already. So your best bet is somewhere in the middle. There you know at least some information from the options you've seen, and you have some choice to select or pass. But how do you know exactly when to decide? The optimal strategy looks like this. First, you need to see some options and reject them automatically, just to learn what's out there. And then, at a certain stopping point S, you need to stop rejecting them and start evaluating whether an option is the best you've seen so far. If it is, then select it. But when should that stopping point be? We need to work out which stopping point maximizes our chances of picking the best option. We can calculate these chances. For each spot, find the probability that the best option is located there, times the probability we get there from stopping point S. Then add these probabilities up across every spot. Now, the chance of the best option being in any spot is just random. If there are n options in total, it's 1 over n. But it's a little harder to find the chances of getting to each spot. Say the best option is in the next spot after S plus 1. What are the chances we get there? Well, since this is the next spot over from the stopping point, we have a 100% chance of getting there, so we're guaranteed to visit it and select it. But if the true best option is in spot S plus 2, well, there's a small chance we'll miss it. If the best of all the previous options is sitting in spot S plus 1, we would just pick that and stop looking before reaching S plus 2. There's a 1 in S plus 1 chance of this happening. So the chances we do get to spot S plus 2 to pick the true best option is 1 minus that, or S over S plus 1. This same calculation continues up until the last spot N. We only get here if we've been passing on every option so far, which means that one of the first S options must have been the best of the total N-1 options we've seen. In total, this gives us the expression 1 over n times 1 plus s over s plus 1 plus s over s plus 2, and so on all the way up to s over n minus 1. Factoring out the s, the sum inside the parentheses approximates the function 1 over x, going from s to n. Taking that integral, we get the natural log of n over
Sigma
s.
notation.
So the probability we select the best option is s over n times the natural log of n over s. To maximize this probability, we can find the peak of this function by setting its derivative to 0. And this gives
When
the
is
natural
37
log of
coming
s
in?
over n equals
That's what I'm
negative
waiting
1.
for.
So s over n equals 1 over e,
Uh-huh.
or about 37%. So explore and reject 37% of options just to get a sense of what's out there. And then pick the first option to
Calculus.
come along that's better than all of the ones you've seen so far. And your chances of success using this method are also 37%.
Okay, so that's. I mean, okay, I literally don't get one bit of the calculation, but I get that it leads to 37. So that is interesting. Though obviously, the fact that I don't get the calculation itself, like, is it just a very specific calculation? Like, this doesn't sound like the most logical, practical, actual calculation. I don't know. So then, okay, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just too lost. This is beyond me. This is beyond me,
This
to be
math
honest.
question is known as the secretary problem or the marriage problem, as it also applies to hiring the best employees or even deciding on the best life partner.
Okay.
Now, it can be impractical to check 37% of the options because you don't always know how many candidates are out there.
Right.
But the 37% rule also works for time. So if you want to get married, say, in 10 years, then spend the first 3.7 years seeing what's out there, and then select the next person who's better than anyone you've seen. So 37 is actually important to our lives, and people seem to subconsciously recognize this. We gravitate towards the number everywhere.
MIPS microprocessor, 37 hours saving. Okay.
37 seconds.
37 years. 37 guys? I was 37.
I don't know, like, it's just a number, like, you could do the same video without the calculation, but like, but I get the especially calculation that always leads to 37, but there's a ton of numbers that show up all the time.
How many enemies do you have?
37.
37%? 37.
37 hours.
Destroyed 37 restaurants. 37?
37 interlocking bronze gears.
Age 37.
37 years old. 37 prototypes.
37%.
Okay.
This collection of images, everything you're seeing on screen has been collected by one man over the course of his life. And you already know who it is.
It's you.
It's just fun.
How do I see him?
The whole thing is just fun.
Okay.
How many objects are there here in the room with us that have a 37 on them? This is probably on the order of 4 digits, I'd say. There's probably not 10,000, but I'm sure there's more than 1,000 here. Nutri-Grain granola
I guess I really
bars.
can't comment on much because, again, I'm not smart enough to understand the calculation, so whatever I say will be stupid since I don't actually get the actual calculation, so yeah.
37 grams. It's a 37-inch yardstick. It's just some political cartoon about sports, but there's no reason that guy had to have jersey number 37. A nail that I found somewhere that has 37 on the head, I don't even know what that means. One time, my mom gave me $37 for my birthday.
Okay.
They all have 37 in the serial number.
Was your 37th birthday like the greatest birthday ever?
I had a big party and I invited everybody I knew. The Texas State Lottery was $37 million, so I had 2 different friends who both gave me 37 lottery tickets. I didn't win. I won $5. This is an article from when they found the 37th Merced crime. It's just clipping after clipping. How many hundreds of these do you want me to go through? I must have gotten that in Germany, but I don't know. But I don't remember what it was. Was it like a locker number? I wouldn't steal a locker number. I've never stolen for 37. Look at that.
Damn.
Stolen from the highway when I was on a road trip.
I heard you say you've never stolen.
I have committed a crime.
That sounds like
There
a crime.
was a bookstore on campus when I was an undergrad.
So this boss guy's life is dedicated to 37. I mean, I guess he's the physical embodiment of this phenomenon. Like, you could make it into an horror movie where the guy is into madness over the number 37, and he has to kill 37 people to be satisfied. I don't know.
At KU, and there were 37 steps in that staircase. Useful facts. These are useful facts.
Do you feel like everyone gets 37 this much in their lives, or do you feel like you're just attracting it?
That's a good question.
I mean, just collecting it.
The reason I started was because it seemed like it turned up a lot. I started back in the 80s. There was a comedy routine by Charles Fleischer, and he went through this sort of litany of coincidences about the number 37. Like there are 37 holes in the speaker part of a telephone. Shakespeare wrote 37 plays. There's 37 movements in Beethoven's 9 symphonies. There are all these amazing coincidences that he rattled off. I was amazed, and I've been collecting them ever since like 1981. Yeah, so 43 years probably.
Okay.
I built the 37 website for the first time in 1994.
That's
I don't know how
such
the
a
website
specific
got out there, but
thing to be into.
But somehow it got out there. I started getting email from strangers. I've got maybe a half a dozen people from around the world who every week or month will post their latest batch of 37s that they've seen out and about.
And they've been doing this for how long?
18 years.
Wow.
We're tireless. The tireless cabal of 37 people, yeah.
Do you have anything to say to anyone who might be like, 37, that's just a base 10 representation of that number?
I am also interested in the number 37 in all of its various other forms, Roman numerals, binary numbers, 100101 by the way, numbers in any other base, yeah, 25 in hexadecimal, 45 in octal.
Uh-huh.
Do you think you're gonna keep looking for 37, been collecting 37 for your whole life?
Clearly.
yeah, I can't see any reason to stop. Yeah, for sure.
Maybe there'll be a big payoff eventually, in a sense of like, you know, right now I'm like half convinced about, you know, this 37 thing, but maybe eventually like 37 would be insanely important for some kind of scientific research discovery or whatever it is, right? Potentially. Or maybe it already is and I just don't know.
Maybe there's even something innately, universally special about this number.
I was about to say, what about our DNA or stuff like that? Oh yeah, that body temperature, you're right. It's my angle in a 3-4-5 triangle. Okay.
We can argue special coincidences for many numbers, but we need to finally address the elephant in the room. The sheer amount of brainpower 37 secretly takes up in our collective minds. It's humanity's go-to random number, one of our most prominent prime numbers, and most of all, our ideal number for making decisions. Maybe that's why we're inclined to it naturally. It feels right to us as where to settle and what to pick. Though with this video, we may have ruined randomness even further. I mean, the next time anyone asks people to pick a random number between 1 and 100, more people than ever might be saying 37.
It's been the story of my life that I intend to take everything that I have here and turn them all into individual facts on that website. But the website's been there untouched for 27 years and it hasn't happened. It doesn't look like it's ever gonna happen.
Maybe on the 37th anniversary, you can get it all done.
I was trying to think, like, maybe is it like an old thing, you know? Like, it could be a very man-made thing. Like, it could be that 37 has been like, I don't know, let's say in a religion back in the days, whatever it is, like a long time ago. 37 was an important number in, I don't know, the Bible, for example, in some way. And, you know, people like that are so into a religion, and you know, let's say that whoever like wrote that 37 in some way as important, wrote it as random, obviously. But in the end, you know, people are so like into their religion, their book, that they keep gonna hear like this number, and then through history, you know, I guess it can become like can become like just a normal thing for humanity to just keep perpetuating, even if it's not related to like the original place it really was, it became popular per se. So, you know, it's maybe just like a legacy thing from before that has just become so normal that, you know, 37 is still being used everywhere because of back then or something. Does that make sense?
That's a good idea.
I don't know.
That's a good idea. Because I have time to do it between now and then, and that's a great idea.
Once our video comes out, do you want people to write you with any instances they see of 37? You might get swamped for a little bit.
I mean, he's about to get millions of entries.
37 is out there. It's everywhere. I'm trying to collect them all. Bring it. Yes, bring it.
I did. You're not gonna sleep for 2 months. Okay.
Our intuition is one of the most powerful tools we have. And the number 30.
Add about 10 of them. Okay, I mean, interesting video. Though obviously, yeah, I feel a bit lost about this one. Like too much math calculation, which, you know, clearly are important to understand this, but it's way beyond me. I can't do that level of math. So while it was interesting, yeah, I'm somewhat lost about it. I don't really know what to think. I wouldn't say I'm fully convinced about like 37 being that big of a deal. This maybe because for me, I don't know. I've never thought about the number 37, you know? I don't think I'd answer 37. If you really ask me at random, and obviously now it's too late. Now it's too late, right? I've been tainted. But interesting idea, I guess, is what I can say. Interesting idea. But I definitely, you know, while actually getting a derivative, yeah, obviously again, like, you know, it's maybe a bit too advanced for a normie brain like mine, I guess. Well, normie when it comes to math, I guess. This was interesting. Okay, I mean, it is like that, you know. I'm not gonna like act like I understand when I don't fully really understand, I guess. I'm definitely pretty lost. Alright, you know, interesting nonetheless to know about this. I never heard before that 37 was such a big thing. But I guess it is. I guess it is.